Flamingo, you are first. You are the first of the year because we are back. I'm going to talk to you for a minute before we turn the camera on because we are not quite ready. I am here. Um, but I've still got a little bit of a mess on my side. But welcome, 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 welcome. Back to the land of this, whatever this is. Ugh. You know, when I don't have to clean up every week, twice a week for stream, stuff really gets away from me. So I guess the lesson is I can't take month-long breaks, or I will never be able to put everything back together. I don't even know when we can hear me. I just started talking over the ads. It says that you're back. Back again. Just like me. Sit tight for a sec. I was busy and I ran over by 15 minutes at the old work job. Empanada, welcome, welcome. Hello, hello. Get in here, you crazy kid. How's it going? I'll give you a shout out in a sec. Empanada, friend of the channel. Rayuya is here. We're all coming in. There we go. I'll spell that name right because it doesn't spell like it sounds. How's it going? We're doing a no camera for just the beginning bit here while I get the worst of the debris cleaned up. How y'all been? How was holidays? We missed a whole bunch of holidays in between there. Yeah, go check out Empanada. I'm Mistrelas. Move that. We're getting the worst of this out of the way so I can turn the camera on and not be embarrassed while I clean up the rest of it. Things got away from me, for sure. Okay. Oh, badoosh. Turn my halo off there. Hello, welcome. We're here. It's you, it's me, it's us. We're together once again. I got home with about 5 minutes to spare, and then OBS decided that my C++ redistributables were not good enough anymore. So I needed to install the new ones from 2022, which I feel like nobody told OBS that was 3 years ago. And those aren't the new ones anymore, but whatever. So that was a little bit of a delay, but we are here. I'm still wiping down a few surfaces. I didn't realize how much streaming actually got me to keep this place maintained. So on the menu today, the tri-tip that I started 2 days ago now has been dry brining for about 36 hours. So today is the day on that, and we are going to attempt a pressure cook, but I don't want it to be soggy soft, so I'm tempted to break out the new device that we have not had a chance to use on the stream, which is the pressure oven. And then we have to think about sides. Any kind of cook on the meat is going to take time. So I'll have time to do other stuff while it's cooking away. Whew. Speaking of which, just a mess over here. Just a mess over here. Okay. Okay, close enough. Oh my God, Flemish. Flemish, thank you so much. 6 months. 6 months. I haven't even been here for the last 6 months. I took a month off. I did get a haircut just recently, just a couple days ago. It was getting very mad scientist-y, and I wanted something close and tight so I could get my big fuzzy winter hat over the top of it. So we got a haircut. We did a trim, which seems counterintuitive. Liz, hello, welcome, welcome. Let's pop over here. Oh, it's got oh, it looks like I bumped the camera a few times. You can see my trash. Boop. Welcome, welcome. Here's the thing. This is the thing. This is what we're working with. We have to cook it today. Somehow we have to cook that today. How big is that? It'll barely fit if I wanted to use the magic pot, which is an option. We could do the magic pot. And then it'll shrink up a little bit as it's cooking. The magic pot would get it... Ooh, you want indoor smoker time. You want indoor smoker time. Things have happened since you were last here, since any of you were last here. We could do that. I have not had a chance to use this thing. I think I would like to test it out with a piece of fish first. This is the empty box. The actual thing is in there. I feel like it would take way too long to do the piece of beef, though. So I want to test it with fish before I try to dive in and do beef. I also don't know how it's supposed to contain the smoke. It really looks like it's just going to smoke up the house. But we could, by the end of today, all this stuff's going to be clean. So this is a tri-tip, which sous vide rib tips. That sounds good. I don't actually remember what part of the cow the tri-tip comes from. Some part of the flank by the back leg. Oh, no. Right where the sirloin meets the flank, ahead of the back leg. Um, Kind of a weird piece. They're always triangular, such hence the tri-tip. The meat grain changes direction halfway through, so it also is kind of awkward to slice. I have heard that you can cook these like a brisket, which is what we've got going on here. Yellow mustard to provide a sticky base, and then a dry coating of a mixture of equal parts ground coriander, smoked paprika, garlic powder, onion powder, and salt, which I also ground finer so that it wouldn't be crunchy because we have, of course, crunchy salt, and I wanted a finer coating. The ends should be able to get burnt, but I think cooking this the proper way to cook this would take about 8 hours, and we're not going to be here for 8 hours. So my idea is either to pressure cook it in the magic pot for an hour and then transfer it into the oven uncovered to harden up the outside and give it some of that. It won't get a proper barbecue bark, but it at least should harden off some of the outside so it doesn't get kind of soggy. Because in the pressure cooker, none of that will harden. Jay, welcome back. 10 months. 10 months. Oh my God. Thank you so much. Get in here, you crazy kid. Um, Boy, I've been busy for a month. I thought I was going to have some time in between things to like do updates and uh, none of that. None of that happened. Um, now the work is tailing off, and I should be able to do that. I was talking about the tri-tip. So the first idea is pressure cook it and then throw it in the oven um, to harden it up. That will take a little bit of extra time, but should be doable within our target window. The other option I have is I have this thing here, which is a pressure oven. Oh, let me bring it in here for you. Now I have not had a chance to put this beast. Raulia! Thank you so much. Converting your Prime to a full power sub. Oh, and you've got a hype train going. Oh my God. Amazing. Thank you so much. This thing. This thing is a pressure toaster oven, kind of. And I have not had an opportunity to do extensive testing with it, so I don't know how it will behave with this. It did not come with very, very thorough instructions. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I appreciate it a lot. I'm hoping this year we will get into a good rhythm. I'm also hoping that finally this year I will get some of those updates that I've been talking about finalized. I got some new computer hardware for this computer to get it up to scratch with some of my modern demands I've been putting on it. Haven't managed to install it yet. We'll get there. This thing has pot roast. The thing is, this recipe book doesn't do base ingredients. It's really unusual. Thank all of you so much. Happy New Year, Happy Christmas, Happy Thanksgiving. We kind of blew through Thanksgiving too. So, barbecued beef ribs is probably the closest this thing has to what I'm considering here. And it wants some vegetables. Should we? Isosceles, you're not first. Congratulations. You're the first, not first of the year. No one can ever take that away from you. Ever. Not ever. We're deciding what tool to commit this beautiful piece of meat to. Discount meat. Oh yeah, Empanada. Empanada's here. Hi, Empanada. Yeah, this is where Jay and Isosceles hang out all the time. I can't get rid of them. I try so hard, and they just won't leave. Rack of pork roast. So what do you guys think? What direction should we tackle this? I feel like I'm afraid to dive in on the pressure oven without a little bit more testing. Cooking it is a good idea. I feel like, not that it's like breaking the bank if it fails, but I hate to have a fail be my first thing out for the year. 30 seconds left on that hype train. You guys kicked off. I'm always surprised how when you guys kick off a hype train. That's thank you so much. Oh, here's one. Roast beef. Braised beef. 2 hours. I'm going with the other one. We're gonna go with the pressure. I got to decide soon because we've got to do other stuff too. Okay, so this, we're taking this away. We're taking this away. I will have to come back and do proper experiments with that one down the line. I have some other things I think we can pull out and do that, but we're going to go with the old standby. This is one of the things that didn't quite get cleaned, but all that is down there is butter, so I'm not worried about butter. We have to decide on the sides. The decides. So what do you think? What goes with what is purportedly going to end up similar to a brisket? Okay, I've got a cup of water in there. Again, that was butter. I made a grilled cheese in the thing, and I got some butter in it. That's what that is. So let's deposit that in there. It fits just about. And we'll get it running while we think about other stuff. And then we can get to like a more casual chit chat. This is one of those cases where I want to get this in early. Okay, high pressure. Oh, and I'm tempted to throw it at it a whole hour because it's a pretty chunky piece. I am going to ask its own instruction book what it thinks for a brisket. Pressure cook brisket. I'm going to go for an hour. But we don't have to wait for it to depressurize at the end. So okay. Okay. Barbecue beans. Barbecue beans was on my mind because there's going to be some drippings from the meat in the juices at the bottom. So we would be able to use those juices. We're also going to preheat the oven because I do want to try to dry out the exterior of that thing after it comes out of the pressure cooker. Beans are definitely a possibility. I also have a sweet potato. That we could work with. I'm not flush with ingredients. I have a lot of basics, a lot of this basic staple stuff. Celery, carrots, cabbage, onions, broccoli. How's that broccoli looking? Broccoli looks good. We could probably use that broccoli. Ooh, I actually... Tuna? Surf and turf? Jay wants a Hasselbeck sweet potato. That sounds tedious, but we might actually have time for it. Oh, but I hate the idea of cutting it. Ooh. Ooh, I hate the idea of cutting it like that. Hasselback sweet potato. So called because it is such a hassle to prepare them that way. Oh, we could do a Hasselback. And I want to use this broccoli because it's already, we'll trim that. I cut it in half because I only needed half of it. So the cut surface is getting a little bit just oxidized. It's not like it's molding. It's just oxidized from having been exposed. So we'll trim that away a little bit. So sweet potato, broccoli. I'm thinking the meat, when it's done, we will take the wide end of the triangle and slice slabs off of it. So we can do a service like that, which means meat, potato, and veg is the typical layout. We could do cheesy. We could do cheesy sweet potato. I actually have way more options than I thought when I started saying I didn't have a lot of options. We've got a lot of, we probably got too many options. We can think about it. We've got time to think about it. A hash could also work. Do I want to do roast sweet potato at all? Let me grab some beans. What kind of beans you like? We have kidney, pinto, and cannellini options right now. I've got a lot of kidney. we do beans. If I have a I don't have a cucumber. I do not currently have a cucumber, no. I had a cucumber and ate half of it, and then I left the other half out, and it shriveled up. It didn't go moldy, it just kind of shriveled up because it's so dry. I have zucchini. Ooh, I have zucchini. And some bell peppers and some regular peppers. I have this zucchini as well. I'm pulling out options. We're just pulling out options and thinking. So what have you guys been doing while I'm thinking? What have you all been up to over the holidays? How was things, gatherings, etc.? Is this an orc's reproductive system? Yeah, that's what it looks like. It's understandable which part's which. I've also got mushrooms. We've got pesto. We've got, that's gone off on me, unfortunately. Some things got away from me, and I've been finding stuff that's gone gnarly. Unfortunately, that has also been happening over the past couple of days. Yeah, workload meant I was eating out a lot, which kind of offset the fact that I was supposed to be making money. We have sauces. We have potentially salsa verde. Open it up and see if it's any good. I can open up these jars and see if they're any good. Pesto. Oh God, I can't get it to release. Jeez, why is that so hard to open? I guess it doesn't want me to eat it. Apple stuff. Apple stuff. Things I haven't looked at in a while. Oh, apple stuff's moldy. That's unfortunate. One little freaking spore got in there. Hi, Flamingo. I'm doing good. Oh, that one's this too. Shoot. Well, we're throwing some stuff away. Shouldn't do this live with you. Announce that stuff got away from me and I'm throwing it out. Let's see. Four things is too many things. Four things is too many things. Interesting. 25 has been a rough start. We're only 6 days in. So I hope that's not a sign of things to come. Hope you feel better soon there, Jay. Zucchini agrodolce. Zucchini agrodolce. Red wine vinegar, zucchini, red onion, garlic. Sugar, water, parsley. I don't have any parsley. Olive oil, salt, red pepper. Let's try making that. It sounds interesting. Vinegar, sugar. Set the sauce aside. Fried zucchini. Well brownable. Yeah. And then they have a resting time and a chilling time. So that's perfect. Let's do that. Okay. I've got a recipe here for zucchini agrodolce from sipandfeast.com. I'm not making a ton of it because I only have the one zucchini. It wants 5 zucchinis, so we are going to cut this down quite a bit. And actually, the zucchini is not even the first step. The first step is making a sauce. And the first step of that is cutting up some onions and garlic. Our meat has started the pressure phase of its pressure cook. So, see you in an hour, meat. Didn't quite get a chance to get all the tomato spots off of this guy. We have new cutting. Oh, have the new cutting boards. I forgot about the new cutting boards. They're still in the other room. But we have new cutting boards. That was something that happened since I've been gone. Red onion. Garlic. Oh. Garlic's a little dried out. That should be fine. I'm going to grab 2 cloves of garlic because it can't hurt to make this a little bit more garlicky. Everyone loves garlic. Kielbasa, fried baby potatoes, pickled red cabbage, and apple kraut. That sounds good. That sounds good. Trying to upstage the chef there. Because it's working. Leftovers from 2 days ago. Trying to upstage the chef 2 days ago? Because it's working. Would you like a kielbasa? Okay, onion, onion, garlic, garlic. We will go ahead and get rid of these scraps right away. Well, that's right. I've also got a new paring knife, which we haven't even brought into the kitchen yet. It's sitting in the other room. Okay, red onion, garlic, chopped. We're gonna do the old smash to get it woken up first. But to me, chopped means like that, like chunky. In a saucepan, bring the water, red wine vinegar, sugar, red pepper flake, onion, and garlic to a boil. So, onion and garlic. Red pepper flake. I don't have red pepper flake, but I do have a red pepper that I can flake myself. As they say, go flake yourself. You only need a tiny bit of this. Okay, that's all I needed of that. Oh, tablespoons of sugar. And red wine vinegar. Good luck to have Polish sausage, kraut, and potatoes during the first week of New Year. I never heard that. Where's that come from? Okay. A half plus an eighth a cup of red wine vinegar, and then the same quantity of water. German Polish in Ohio. Water, vinegar, sugar, pepper, onion, garlic to a low boil until it thickens and becomes sticky. So start by bringing it to a boil and then reduce it so we simmer it. Large fry pan. Fry the zucchini in olive oil. Lightly salt. Layer the zucchini, add the sticky sauce. Okay. I'm adding this to the title. Agrodolce. Add that to our title. Okay. And then we need to fry. I think my family's German too, but I never heard that. But also, I'm not from Ohio. So maybe it's just the Ohio part. So while that pot is coming up to a heat over there, zucchini sliced into 1/4-inch discs. Take off the stem. We don't eat the stem bit. 1/4 inch is about that big. Oh, this is why we needed a new cutting board. This one wants to spin. I'm not going to fight with the end bit there. Pork and kraut. I mean, I like pork and kraut, so I'm on board. In a large fry pan, fry the zucchini until brown on both sides. Drain them. So we're frying them in batches because we don't want them to stack up on each other. So we need a wide pan. Wide flat pan. Well, wide flat pan. Olive oil, which we will keep out to refresh the pan if needed. Get that heating as well. Grab a stirring tool to stir my onion garlic vinegar mixture. Interestingly, there's no salt in this. We're almost making like a sour onion syrup because we've got sugar in there and then we're reducing it to thicken it. Fascinating. Pennsylvania Dutch. Yeah, well, they eat things like scrapple, so who knows? Okay, bottom of the pan is nice and evenly oiled. We will let it get hot before I throw the zucchinis in, but we want to do them in batches, not all at once. Because we're trying to get even browning on the faces of each round. And by the looks of it, you want it to be pretty hot. And salt them immediately. I know what scrapple is. I've got some right here. I've got some right here. Oh. Okay, that's starting to come to a bubble. I'm turning it down a little bit because I don't want to froth it up. Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania Deutsch. I see what you did there. Paper towel and rack. And boy, it's getting vinegary in here, I'll tell you what. Our oil is starting to shimmer, which is a sign that we're getting hot. It does not quite run like water yet, but it's getting there. I really want it to be fully hot so I can get quick browning. Potatoes just round it out and make it hearty. So what you're saying is potatoes are just good. No meaning behind potatoes. They're just, you can't not have potatoes. For Christ's sake, that'd be weird if you didn't have potatoes. Oh, it's not ready. It's not ready. This is something I got while we were gone too, and it's not ready because I haven't had a chance to clean it up. But a ginormous cast iron pan that would have actually made an excellent frying vessel for this. I need to scrape it down, so it's not yet ready, but that's looking pretty good. Let's give it the old water test. It's hot. We don't need to crowd it out. We have no danger of... Und für when ist der Schnaps? Isosceles, I'm going to have to ask you to speak English in this channel, or I will have to ban you. We don't tolerate moon language around here. Let's get the salt over here as well. Well, now you're... That's English in a German accent, which is fine. Ah, we're getting blistering right away. That's what I'm looking for. We're not looking for these guys to cook to mush. We're looking for them to cook those brown blisters on the outside. That's the goal. We want that kind of brown blistering both sides. You okay, Isosceles? You're acting extra Isosceles today. Oop. That one rode up on the other one. I'm glad you're in high spirits, given what day it is today. Well, that one's ready. Okay, and then we salt the ones we just pulled out, and we put in some more. They certainly do not take very long. Megs! Hi, welcome, welcome. How have you been? Get on in here, you crazy kid. I'm going to give us a little sprinkle of extra oil. Because the zucchini definitely wants to pick up some oil as it cooks. How's it going? How was the holiday? Tell us all about it, or don't. Or don't. Not telling us all about it is also a valid option. We are, since you just got here, we have a tri-tip that I have dry brined for 36-ish hours in the pressure pot that I am going to then, once it is done, transfer it into the preheated oven to try to dry out the exterior and give it a little bit of that crispy, nice thing, even though we haven't gone for a full-on smoke. I just want to not have it be soggy on the outside. The pot back here is a mixture of garlic, onions, sugar, red wine vinegar, and water and red pepper flake. And the zucchini rounds, we are going for brown leopard spots. And together we are making agrodolce. 2 weeks off. Today was awful. Aww. Making tables to be sold, to be told at 5 p.m. they wanted a different view. So you had to work an extra hour after wasting the whole day. That sounds frustrating. And like it sucks. It's not German kimchi. German kimchi is sauerkraut. This is Italian kimchi. Agrodolce is an Italian sweet and sour. And honestly, the reason I'm making it is because I have a zucchini, and Ryuya recommended something sour to go with the rich, meaty meat of the meat. The rich meatness of the meat. Zucchini has eaten most of my oil, so we're going to re-oil that pan real quick. Glacier Crest. Hello, welcome. It's not actually kraut, but it's going to be in a similar vein where it's a sour vegetable to be paired with a rich, fatty meat. But welcome in. Have I tried Kumato tomatoes? I have not. That is not something I'm familiar with. Slightly sweeter than normal tomato. Dark brown color. No, for sure not. I would think I'd remember a dark brown tomato. Interesting. I've had some varieties of tomato that aren't your standard ones, but that one is not familiar to me at all. No. Let's see. This is supposed to have reduced by half and become sticky. It's very vinegary. I keep like gassing myself with the vinegar as I stir it, so it's definitely on the sour side. It still seems watery runny to me. Ooh, the flavor is very nice. Once it stops boiling and is just a sour thing, I think it'll be very, very nice. The boiling is what's doing it. So how's it going, Glacier Crest? Large Asian market has them, but they're Spanish. Interesting. I don't have a large Asian market. I have 3 small ones, and they double up on a lot of things, so I don't necessarily have the variety. It's about an hour and a half drive to the big city where I could get those more elaborate things. Well, I have taken on part-time work, which interrupted my streaming schedule because I wasn't making quite enough. So I feel like 0 is a little bit low. But I would be happy to cook for you. I would love to work out how to do cooking collabs with some of you folks from the old Twitch. Oh my god. I don't have the budget for it at all, but it would be so much fun to do a cooking thing with Drongo. But you are also far from the first to ask if I would be your personal chef. Okay. Okay, zucchini is fried and salted. We can get that guy off of that hot burner. And we can move the zucchini away, because it doesn't need to be on there anymore. This stuff, it's reduced by more than half. It's reduced by more than half, which I want to say is good. I might add a smidge more sugar to try to thicken it up just a little bit. Because I did not do my diligence and actually divide the recipe down evenly. I kind of eyeballed a half measure on it. Which is not the right way to do it when you don't know a recipe. Eyeballing and doing half measures is not the right way. Layer the zucchini in a flat dish and pour the sauce on top. If the sauce does not touch all the zucchini, flip the layer after 15 minutes, chill for at least 30, or let sit for 30 minutes and chill for at least an hour, which you might actually be able to pull that one off. Flat dish. That amount of zucchini. This guy. It sounds like I want it to be wide enough that they wouldn't overlap so that they all can get immersed in the liquid. So that one might be too small. So the one size up from that, but that might be too, is that too big? Join me over here on this side. I think we're going with this one, because I think if I use the small one, they'll ride on top of each other too much. Okay, we can. I think that's what I'm looking for. I think that's what it's asking me for. Take the heat off. Boy, salt, olive oil, and zucchini is just good on its own. Frankly, salt and olive oil and nothing else, winning combination. Would eat again. That. this. It's so vinegary. Oh my God. Making my eyes sting. Oh, I'm also doing this with tongs instead of spoon. Oh, come on. I definitely reduced us by a little bit more than half. I think I reduced us by a lot more than half, actually. I'm going to take a splash of extra... You know what? I'm going to take a splash of extra vinegar, just on the top. It's very vinegary at this point. It's like verging on stinging my eyes and making me choke from the vinegar fumes from boiling vinegar. But I know that is only because it is currently still steaming hot vinegar. Which it won't be when we serve it, so it should not be a problem. I'm going to give it a little extra sprinkle of red wine vinegar because I think I over-reduced it just a smidge. I spent a lot of time making the cat sick ones too. And what I have to say to that is it takes practice and paying attention. And sometimes, here, I'll point out Indian food. Specifically like Brahmin Indian food. It's a lot of these sort of earth tone mush on top of rice. There's chunks in there, but it looks a lot like sort of earth tone mush on top of rice. And they taste amazing. Okay, we're going to put a lid on that, and we're going to put that in the fridge to chill. While we do other stuff, and it should be served chilled. Yes, that kind of Indian food. I'm going to say that kind of Indian food because that is the kind of Indian food that has been exported and popularized. There are other Indian cuisines, but that specific kind that we all think of when you say Indian food is very much like brown mush. Brown mush on top of rice. It tastes so good though. So if you want, to practice making your food more photogenic, select a cuisine or a specific dish that you think looks very photogenic and practice just that one. But pay attention to what you're doing while you're doing it. Probably won't look great the first time, but it will with some practice. And then you can take what you have learned and apply that to other dishes. You can take even a pretty brown mush looking dish and zhuzh it up and make it look good with garnish and sometimes really simple garnishes. Chives, which are so easy to grow in a little pot in your window, add a nice little splash of green. I love the multicolored sesame seeds to give a fun contrasting sprinkle on the top. It can also be as simple as right at the end, especially for something that's very soupy, right at the end before you serve it, give a drizzle of oil and don't stir it in. You'll have this sort of swirl that rides on the top. There's lots of little tricks like that. And there's some stupid chefy things that people do too, like the sauce schmear. I hate the sauce schmear. I've attempted it so many times here. Your sauce has to be so perfectly smooth, which is why it's a chefy thing to do. All right, let's pop back up here. Which is why the sauce smear is a chefy thing to do, because your sauce has to be the perfect consistency to get that chefy smear. If your sauce is lumpy, it won't smear. If your sauce is too thin or too thick, it won't smear right. So the smear is like chefs showing off that the sauce is perfect in terms of its consistency, which takes a lot of practice, which is why professional, what do they call them? The Brigade de Cuisine has a saucier who is second only to the chef. Because sauces are so hard. But anyways, that's my thing. Pick something you think looks good, try to make it yourself, and then pay attention to the things that you do to it that make it look like that. Perfect your smear. Do it. Show me up. I'm terrible at smears. I'd love to see someone nail that chefy smear. We've got 13 minutes left on the meat, and then it's going to have to go in the oven, so which means we have lots of time. Also, that is chilling. So, another side, anyone? Can I interest you in another side? We have zucchini, which is more on the starchy side rather than the vegetable-y side. It's not too late to do beans. It's not too late to do beans. I think we might do beans. This is a hybrid plate we're putting together here. So, a brisket tri-tip, an agrodolce, zucchini agrodolce. I was thinking another side. I wasn't thinking a dessert. I've got broccoli, I've got beans. I was thinking the beans. Because that would be a way to use up the drippings from the meat as well. We're going to need to do a lined dish. Getting a bean vibe. But what do we do with the beans? We're not doing baked beans. Because baked beans would take too long at this point, and the oven is going to be dedicated to the meat. We're going to have a chilled sour dish, so I don't really want to do a bean salad. So, okay. Okay, I think I'm just going to start making stuff. We're going to go back over to here. We're going to crack that can of beans. We're going to grab another clove of garlic. Or two. Once again, can't go wrong with garlic. There'll be garlic in every element of my dish today, which is the correct way. Sweet potato hash brown. Oh. I'm putting a pin in that, Ryuya. I have been meaning to practice hash browns, like proper hash browns, the little patties like you get from a fast food place. I want to make those. I want to make them right. I don't want to make half-assed ones. We're putting a pin in that, and then we'll get back to doing hash browns. Beans getting made in that pot, which is too big for the purpose, but oh well. I'm going to grab a very gnarly looking pepper. I have some gnarly looking peppers that I got, but they're just wrinkly. They're just wrinkly, but they're pretty gnarly looking. It makes them slightly hard to cut because they are so soft. We're going to take the little bottom nugget out as well. Bookwoman! Wow, everybody's purple today. It's becoming very difficult to read, everyone, because you all came up purple today. For me. Bookwoman, welcome, welcome. 28 months. Good Lord. Good Lord. How can you stand to be here that long? Also, good Lord, I've been at this for 28 months. Damn. Ugh, I am going to lose some pepper just because these are slightly frustrating to cut. And the easiest way to get that leathery, slightly dried up pith is just to cut it away completely. And I don't need that much pepper, so I'm not mega worried about it. Groupie. But welcome, welcome. How's it going? On your end, things looking up, improving. Bacon fat. We're making beans now on the side here. So back to the stove. That pan is getting baconed. Nope. Let go. Bacon. Richly colored. Okay. Starting off with some bacon fat in the pan. What did I make that I used that much bacon in? I can't even remember at this point. I don't use a ton of bacon these days. But it was something where I had a lot of bacon drippings, and I just couldn't bring myself to throw them out. So we're getting that started. We're going to dice up this pepper, throw it in. So Bookwoman, how's it going? You've missed so far. In the pressure pot, we have the tri-tip cooking. And we're going to attempt to form a cheater's crust or bark on it in the oven after it is done pressure cooking itself soft. I don't know how well that's going to work. At the very least, the interior of it is going to be nice and tender, and it's been dry brining for 2 days, day and a half. Just lost my spoon onto the floor. So that's the main event, and we have been, because it's going to take so long, working on side dishes. We did zucchini agrodolce, which is in the title, and I should add, and beans. Now we're doing beans. Beans were recommended way at the beginning, and I think it is a good idea as a way to use some of the drippings from the meat. Since I am going to have some drippings from the meat. Golden potato and green soup. What's the green? Bacon might have been a good addition. I'm not throwing any actual bacon. I'm just using bacon fat as my starter grease for this element of it. Kale. Kale's a good cooking green. Oh, you guys were just watching the bacon fat melt that whole time. Oops. Okay. In goes our belled pepper. Our wrinkly bell pepper. Next up, onion. I once again found onions in the bargain produce bin, and I don't understand, because they are just perfect onions. It was weird. I'm not complaining, I just don't understand. Leeks and garlic. That sounds good. That sounds good. I haven't had leeks in a while, which is unfortunate because I like leeks. Bigger knife. I love getting, so one of my local grocery stores has specifically, they put produce that is on its way out in dollar bags and attempt to sell them. A lot of it looks pretty gnarly. But I find a lot of bananas and bell peppers in there that look pristine. And that one grocery store that does that is Woodman's. I don't know if you have a Woodman's. They're a large food co-op chain. We're going to salt that to help them sweat it out. Oh yeah, this is your first day here, Empanada. I am a massive bargain hunter when it comes to food. Yes, every element of today's meal was acquired at bargain prices. I buy meat and freeze it. Vacuum pack it and freeze it because it keeps for a long time. That beep 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 is the sound of the pressure pot being ready. So let's fire it off. Brace yourselves. There it goes. It smells like pastrami? That's interesting and weird. It really smells like pastrami. Did I accidentally make pastrami? Quite possible. But yeah, a lot of what we cook around here, it's not a bad smell, no. It's just not what I was expecting. A lot of what we cook around here are things that I find that I don't have an idea for what to make, and then I buy them and bring them and figure it out after the fact. I know a lot of people are intimidated by some ingredients, and around here, we're not intimidated by any ingredients. We've found some all-time favorites by grabbing weird random vegetables from the bin that I had never heard of, and now I go back to them deliberately because they're so good. So yeah, I wasn't expecting pastrami though. Beep, beep, beep. Means the pressure is clear. I want to get it out of there post-haste, and I want to get the liquid out of it as well, but I want you guys to see what we're working with at the midway point. So let's dump our garlic in our pot, and working quickly, unlock, open. Whoa, that is not what I was expecting at all. Wow, this has behaved strangely. Ooh, weird. Weird. Next to the Torah container of oatmeal. We got a weird one. We got a weird one. There it is. Let's fold the little wings down. Doesn't look so bad from the top, right? It got real tall. Why did it get so tall? Why did it get so tall? I don't know. We've got our drippings juice. I'm gonna have to. I can't dwell on it too long. I can't dwell on it too long. Obviously the meat contracted, but I wasn't expecting it to contract that way. We're not cutting it right away. We are... Did you just call me to... Did you just tell me to F off, Raya? How dare you? I'm going to take... Oop, you can't see anything I'm doing. I'm taking the bits that fell off of my... This was where I brined the meat. We're not cutting it right away. I put that in with the stuff there. I want to get the liquid in there right away, because we're already at risk of burning that. So we're going to take our drippings liquid, which is very dark. Remember, this was just water when I started. And we're going to throw that in there. Wow, it really smells like pastrami. Why does it smell like pastrami? I don't know what we made. I got to be honest. I'm not sure what we made. I didn't do a pink curing salt on it. So why is it strange? Anyways, that is our drippings going in with our peppers, onions. We're turning that down just a smidge. That can now be set aside. I want to carefully get this. I don't need to be careful about that. I don't need to be careful about that. Drippings is the new moist. I don't need to use that rack at all. I can just do this. This thing is oven safe. It was literally just at 450 degrees. It's oven safe. And we're going to put this in the oven to dry out a little bit, because it's very, very wet from having just been pressure cooked, and I would like it to be a little bit less wet. I wish I had a convection. Now would be the time for a convection oven. You think we could air fry it? Ooh. Do you think we could air fry it? An air fryer is a convection oven, right? Is this a bad idea? It didn't expand, it contracted, so it got taller and narrower. I have smaller cast iron pans. The thing is, I want a crust on the top, and I don't want that stuff that's on there to get scraped off in the process, because that stuff is flavor goo that I'd like to kind of harden in place. What if we air fried it? Is that a bad idea? Add glue. Hot glue. That's a good idea, right? Glue's made from animal parts. You're thinking after you dry it out. Exactly, gelatin. Air fry it. Okay, device. We're doing this all in one. It is the day of the magic pot, I guess. It has been our greatest friend all this time. We're going to do that way so that I don't get meat drippings on the bottom of the pot. That doesn't sound good. Hot glue. Okay. Oven. Wasted our preheated oven. But if I put that guy right there, we put that guy back into our magic pot. What are my options? I close the lid. What are my options? Air fry, broil, bake / roast, dehydrate, proof, sear, saute, steam, sous vide, slow cook, yogurt. So we switch to air fry. We turn our temperature down because I don't want to scream its head off. And we just hit start and see what it does. Okay, well, we're experimenting. The meat part will not be harmed by this. Our outer crust might not survive. You know, this is the kind of time of day I would normally have said, wow, I made a real mess. But the mess I have now is so much less than the mess that I started with that, you know what? We're doing pretty good. Let's slide back over to this, our meat drippings and vegetables. We're going to need to add beans to that. I mean, it's still a lot of mess, but the kitchen was in such a disarray when I started. Okay, I don't want the thick bean water today. So I'm just going to pour that off. And bean it up. Get beaned. The air fryer is going to be weird and ask me to shake because it does that after 10 minutes, I think, or 5 minutes or something. It says shake contents because they're not expecting you to do the things I do with it. Is that enough beans? I feel like this is not enough beans to call this beans. Well, one way to solve that, more beans. What do we got? What do we got? What do we got? What do we got? Dark red kidney beans. Ooh. Or white beans. We're going with some white beans. We're going to really shake it up here with the bean front. Some of us want the thick bean water. Hey, I usually dump the whole thick bean water in there. So Isosceles, I'm making the decision to pour off more of the thick bean water. But just for you, we'll add the last dribble of it to the pot, which has stopped boiling. I also wish there was a window in the magic pot. You know what has a window? You know what has a window is the pressure oven that I am not confident in testing out, but I think would have actually been the correct tool today if I knew how to use it. Because it has a little window, and also it's a pressure cooking method that's less wet. So we wouldn't have had to do the drying out step. Although it would have taken quite a bit longer, I think. And I don't have the thing set up. Okay. That looks more like beans. When it's not in pressure mode, I can just stop it and peak though, so that's another benefit. Because we're just running the air fry mode now, which means it's not pressurized and locked. I can just go. I can just go peek, and it's perfectly fine. It looks good in there. It's sizzling on the surface, but the stuff is adhering well, which is one thing I was worried about. I've had that happen before, where I put something in there with the air fryer, and the air movement has blown something around. I did a cheese. What was it? It was like an open-faced cheese pizza, or some like it was something where there was slices of cheese on top, and the speed of the air from the fan caused the cheese to like fly around inside the pot. So when I checked on it, the thing only had a little bit of cheese left on it, and the rest of the cheese was on the bottom and had all burned in place because it wasn't. It's looking better. It's more of a browned exterior already. I've got it on 300, which is as low as the air fryer will go, because I don't want to burn it if I can help it. How long have we been going? We're closing in on 2 hours, which is what I was thinking. I kind of planned for a bit of a chunkier thing today. But we can't lose the stuff. The whole point of this is the stuff is flavor, and if it's too wet, it'll all fall off as soon as you try to cut it. And I don't want that. I want it to adhere. I want it to be solid. I want the good stuff. It's what would become the bark if we were doing a proper smoker barbecue thing. We're not, so it's not going to be bark. I'm just trying to harden it in place. Give us a little bit of a crust at least. I should taste the bean juice for seasoning. Hey, that's tasty. Hey, that's tasty. Just a little hint of pastrami in there. Huh. That's odd. That's unusual. Just a smidge of pastrami in there. I feel like my beef might come out a little bit like a pastrami. This needs some pep to kind of wake it up. It doesn't need any salt. It's plenty salted. It's probably the smoked paprika that's giving me that that little molasses. Molasses. You wanted slower. Slow as molasses. I love adding some blackstrap molasses to things like this because it gives you a little bit of sweetness, but not a ton of sweetness. And it gives you that dimension. There's a little bit of bitterness, there's a lot of complexity. And it also helps our color and will help us thicken a little bit. But I want this to not be soupy. That's the goal here. So we're going to boil off the liquid until it's not soupy. There's the air fryer telling me to shake the contents, which I will not do because that sounds like a recipe for a mess. A messipie, if you will. Okay, we've got some pep, we've got some molasses. Let's give that another little taste. Ooh. Oh, it's already much deeper. The pepper has helped. It needs a tiny bit more spice. If I started... you know what? You know what? I have started taking a new medication. That's actually a real thing that's happened. I don't believe that tasting phantom pastrami is a symptom, a side effect, but maybe I should run it by my doctor. Who knows? No, I think my flavor mix on the meat has just really taken it in a pastrami direction. Oh, that would be such an annoying side effect. Everything tastes like pastrami, but just a little bit. But just a little bit. Ice cream sundae, just a little bit of pastrami. I'm going to take the remaining flaked red pepper that we didn't use in the agrodolce and put it in there. And stir that in. beans. I'll let that infuse a little bit before I dive in and taste it again. 6 minutes left on the air fryer. Let's take a peek. Let's take a peek. There's been a little bit of additional dripping. Getting a golden brown on the outside, which is good. I'm gonna poke it with a chopstick. When in doubt, poke it with a chopstick. See what it does. That stuff's still kind of on the soft side. The air fryer might not be quite up to the task. It's not mushy soft, so I think we'll get there eventually, but it might impact the texture of the meat if I left it in there long enough to actually do that. So we'll probably just leave it long enough for it to have good adhesion rather than long enough for it to get fully crunched up. How is our agrodolce looking? It looks the same, and it seems to be not hot anymore, so that's probably ready to serve. Which means the meat's gonna have to rest before I can slice it, regardless. And the beans aren't quite there yet, but I can start thinking about our service plate. We have so many options now. I mean, they're all the options I had before, but I've got so many of them. I guess the color of the meat is going to affect it a little bit. If it is, in fact, pink on the inside, like pastrami, then I would not want to put it on a red plate. Do we go with... I feel like we're going with black or white for the safe bet. Brown would work. A brown plate would work if the meat is not brown on the inside. But I'm unsure. Oh. Well, then we also have the choice between round and square. And the beans... Okay, if I use the white... White's always the safe bet. If I go with the white square, I could do that and put the beans there. And have the beans be in a little black square in the corner. Have my sliced meat take up one of these sides, and then the agrodolce take up the other portion. Right? Because I feel like the beans are going to be soupy enough that I don't want them to just slap on the plate because they'll make a puddle. We don't want a puddle. Yeah, okay. Alternatively, we do have white square as well. And, oh, that's on my screen. There's a spot right here. Here. But you guys can't see it because it's literally on the screen. So, get that cleaned off so I can actually look at my plate. Because the agrodolce will not need a little square dish. Okay. Let's slide back over here, poke around our beans, see how they're doing. I think by the time our meat is rested, the beans will be... The beans are probably very close now. Oh, yeah, our sauce is... The bean juice has thickened substantially. Let's give it one more taste. I don't think we need to thicken the beans anymore. I think we're achieving... It coats the back of my spoon on its own. Mmm. Ooh. Oh. Oh, jeez. I might have put in a little bit too much of that pepper. Oh, it's spicy. Woo. Oh, it's spicy. Ooh, that's a spicy bean. That's a spicy bean. Here's how I'm gonna fix the spicy bean. I'm gonna put butter in it. I'm gonna put butter in my spicy bean. Okay, you've been air frying for 20 minutes. Things have changed. Not a ton, but noticeably. Ooh, spicy beans. Whew. I might even give them a dab of sour cream. Nothing else here should be very spicy, so I think they'll be fine, but they definitely have a kick to them. Join me over here. Join me over here with a trivet. Sour cream is a great way to save something that you've pushed a little bit on the spicy side. Yogurt also is a great way to save something you've pushed a little bit on the spicy side. So things have changed. We have developed a much more uniform reddish-brown exterior. Yogurt also, yeah, yogurt, sour cream, crema, kefir, any of those fermented milk things. And I wouldn't stir it into the beans. I would top the beans with it. A little dab, a dollop or something, to give you that cooling offset. A dollop, a quenelle. So your lighting is a little bit off from mine. We don't have... It doesn't like smear around, but if you notice when I poke it, it has a... You can't really see it. It has a distinct flex to it. Especially on the top here where it's interacting with the fat cap. But it's not like mushy, and it doesn't stick to my poker So I'm going to say that means we've achieved our adhesion, and I'm just seeing the sort of soft fat cap underneath it, which means I'm calling it done. And we have to get it off of the wire rack without damaging it, which we can do with a big tongs. I also might add a little bit more sugar to it. Sweetness helps balance out the spice as well. Oh, and we're turning the heat off for sure. That has achieved a level of thickness in the time it took me to tell you about the meat. A level of thickness to the point where it is trying to stick to the bottom of this nonstick pot. So off the heat right now. I'm going to give it a scoop of plain old white sugar, which I will stir in. A scoop and a smidge. Sugary. That will blunt the spice a little bit. A little dollop of sour cream on top will blunt the spice a little bit. And we'll stir that sugar in so it gets all dissolvey. Sweet beans are good anyways. There's a lot of sugar in your standard American-style baked beans. So I'm not afraid of over-sugaring it with a tablespoon of table sugar. Consistency is very good, though. I like the consistency. On this side, we got it. So yeah, actually, the adhesion is very good on the sides. It's only kind of spongy on the top where it's interacting with the rendered out fat cap. And if you've ever had a piece of meat with a fat layer that you've cooked a lot, it gets that, like it fully renders out and it gets that really soft texture to it because the actual fat has, well, you can see it, it's down there at the bottom and it's in our beans. And we had a little bit of stickage as well. I'm going to see if we can't save that dripping just to add it to our beans. Be a shame to let it go to waste. It's flavor after all. They're coming out of the goddamn beans. Okay. We'll clean that guy up in a bit. Okay. I think things are looking good. Things are coming around. There's our piece of meat. Doesn't look too bad. We didn't really get the triangle. It lost its triangle in its contracting, which I gotta say I don't fully hate. I'm gonna want to cut it from this end going that way though, because of the way the meat fibers are in there. Should be super tender. EA Sports. It's in the beans. I hope the guy who read that the one time they recorded it got royalties for all the millions of times they used it. Because you know they didn't re-record that. They recorded that one time in like 1996 and have been using it since. So this guy has to rest. You always want to rest your meat before you cut into it, otherwise all your juices will just fall out onto your plate. So while that's getting rested over here, over yonder, we are going to retrieve our, I keep forgetting what this is called, agrodolce. We are going to retrieve our agrodolce and look at it. It looks the same. Now, how are you supposed to serve this thing? Just on a plate. Just on a plate. Okay. Well. Yeah, there's no service. Just serve with a sprinkle of fresh parsley. The zucchini will taste much better in a couple of hours. Well, we don't have that. But apparently they will soak up our sweet sour sauce that we made. But slowly. But slowly. Fresh cilantro or chives? Well, I'm going to have to ask you to ban yourself, Rhea, for suggesting cilantro. I don't make the rules. It's just how it is. I do have some chives in the window that would make for a little bit of a color variation. The thing did say put parsley on it. I don't have any parsley right now. My parsley went yellow and I threw it out. But I can see how the chives are doing. Ooh, I need to water these plants. I don't think I'm going to cut that chive right now. It's not looking super healthy. We can do scallion. I can grab a photo of this at this stage. We haven't taken our glamour shot. But good shout, I should take some process photos. We'll grab one of our grab one of the meat. And we'll grab one of the agrodolce. I don't think the beans look like much in the pot, so we will take a picture of them once they're in the... I am in the soap camp. They cilantro does not jive. I'm going to start plating. I'm going to start plating some things. Those are good beans. Oh, and the added sugar helped with the spice too. They're noticeably less spicy after I added that sugar. So that part was a win. Beans. I lost a bean in transit. But they're so tasty that I ate it off the floor. I know people like cilantro. I understand what it's supposed to taste like. And I hate that I taste what I taste, but oh well. No, coriander seed, which we have right here, does not trigger that at all. The chemical that gives the soapy flavor is almost completely absent from the fruit, the coriander fruit. So these things are fine. It is interesting. I initially, because I mean I learned this a long time ago, but in America we call this coriander, and we call the leaves cilantro. So for a long time I did not know they were the same thing, and I knew I didn't like cilantro, but this stuff didn't bother me. So I also assumed they weren't the same thing because they didn't taste the same. But then I learned. Then I did a learn. Then I did an educate. I've also learned that old cilantro loses the soapiness. It probably loses its good flavor too, but I wouldn't know. But it loses it. So like the old wilty stuff they use at cheap restaurants doesn't trigger me really strong. Triggers a little bit, but doesn't trigger it really strong, so I can kind of get away with it. Let's plate some of our agrodolce. I would like, yeah. And supposedly this is going to taste even better like after a few hours of marinating. So I'm going to put the lid back on. I'm going to take a little teeny bit more of it to even out my plating a smidge. But then we are going to put the lid back on and let the remaining zucchinis keep getting to know the juice. Clean up your drips. That's part of presentation too, is clean up your drips. Makes the plate look a lot neater. And since I've plated the rest of it, I'm going to declare this guy has rested long enough and that we're going to jump in on him. We're grabbing the slicer, the long blade slicer, and let's see. He's still warm. Of course, he's still warm. He was he was boiling hot just not very long ago. Now this should give me very little resistance. That piece isn't going to look the best. The next slice should be our first, like, good slice. That's what I made. That's what it looks like. I bet you that one's going to taste really good, though, because it has a lot of the exterior crusting on it. I think I'm going to take 4 slices. Which is quite a bit of this thing. And there you have it. That's my plated result. What do you think? Kind of looks like a, little plate of food. This stuff won't need any saucing, so I don't really want to sauce it. And it's 2 kinds of veg. It was very tender. It was very easy to slice. I did a little sawing because I didn't want to just press down because it's so soft that it felt like it was going to squish. But it was very tender. I'm going to take pictures of this. We're going to taste the whole thing, but I really want to taste that end bit that I cut. No, it doesn't look the best for the plate. It doesn't look quite the best for the plate because it's such a thin piece, but this piece I think is going to be extra delicious. Let's grab our good picture. As always, the photos are posted in Discord, but also they're on my Bluesky. And we should not need a knife for this at all, just a fork. And we're not beating around the bush. We're starting out by tasting this right here. End bit, burnt end. That's very good. I'm not going to disagree with you, Ryu. I believe that would do that. But since I put the drippings in the beans, they already have some of that flavor. And this is very good by itself. It does not give me that brisket flavor. It is as tender as brisket, but honestly, the flavor is more like a pot roast flavor, but it's just melt in your mouth tender. And I went right for that corner piece. It had a little crunchy burnt tip on it. Not a ton of it, but a little crunchy burnt tip on it. So we got that too. But yeah, the meat has, no, I'm not getting the pastrami flavor here. Not in this part. The pastrami flavor must have been in the drippings. And then when I vented the pressure pot, it was in the steam because the steam was vaporized drippings. And then it was in the beans because that's where I put the drippings. But I guess it drained out because it has that sort of rich pot roast flavor to it, if you know what I mean, as opposed to like brisket. So it's super tender. It is a little drier than I think you would achieve with a brisket. It's not dry, but it's not quite as moist. I did keep it out of the liquid for the entire pressure cooking time. It was sitting up on the rack above the liquid because I didn't want my seasoning to rinse off. It's very good. It's not what I was expecting when I started, and it's also not what I was expecting when we vented it. I think air frying the crust worked great. The crust, there's a few little bits that fell off when I was cutting it, but for the most part, stuck around the cut edge really well, which is what I wanted it to do. I didn't want to lose that seasoning. I've done that before where I had a seasoned up piece of meat and we went to cut it, and the process of cutting it scraped away the flavor. Well, not the flavor, but scraped away the outer crust. We will try another bit of it in a moment because I want to try it with that rendered fat cap, because I bet you that's going to be super, super delicious. But we're going to go around the plate. Next up, I've already tasted the beans a couple times, so we're going to taste the beans. We're going to talk about the beans. We're going to see how the beans are. The beans are very rich. The richness that I expect in a brisket was not in this. But I believe that's because it drained out into the beans. Now, when I was doing some research on how to do this, it recommended basting the tri-tip in its own drippings, which I think would have infused it with that rich unctuousness. Because the beans are carrying that richness, that unctuousness. Now we put some butter and some bacon fat in there as well, so that's definitely a factor. I'm glad I added that extra sugar because it has taken the edge off of that spice. We overspiced it a little bit, but a little sugar balanced that out. That worked. I didn't want to add acid to it because we already have an acidic element on the plate. Acids can also help balance out spice, but I didn't want to do that for the beans. I wanted the beans to be, it's one of those elements where all the parts, all the flavors I put in there have melded. We could have used the drippings to make gravy. I considered that as well. I considered using the drippings to make a sauce even, to like a pan, like it wouldn't really have been a pan sauce, but it would have been in the vein of a pan sauce to top our meat. I opted for the beans. I could see arguments in many ways on that one. Ultimately, I am not displeased with where I took it. The beans they're very savory. They're rich. They're just a little bit sweet. They're just a little bit sweet. But they're rich. They coat your mouth in this sort of lovely, glossy flavor. Does that make sense? Glossy flavor. It sticks to the inside of your mouth, but in a really nice way. And they got some spice to them too. That's not, I'm not gonna say the spice is gone. It's just been, the edge has been taken off. It's not making me go. Finally, this one, I have no idea what it's going to taste like. We are going to taste our agro... Oh, God. Agrodolce. I'm very curious about this one. This was not in the plan today at all. We're just having at it. Mmm. 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 That's so interesting. This is going to sound weird. You can really taste the grapes. It's cold, for one thing. It's cold. It's acidic to the point where it's giving me that little, like, corner of your mouth pinch, but it's not overwhelmingly sour. The sweetness has balanced it out. The zucchini has a lovely, tender, crisp crunch to it, whereas the onion is almost caramelized tender. And it's so fruity. It's got a really, like, fruitiness to it. And I swear I can taste the grapes that were used to make the wine that was used to make the vinegar that we put in this. It's very different from the beans. It is exactly the kind of thing you want to pair with fatty meat and rich things, because it is bright, it is fruity, it is sour but not overwhelmingly sour. It's also got texture. The tender crisp on it means it has some bite to it, whereas the meat is tenderized to the point where it's very, very soft, and the beans are bean texture. So we have kind of soft things going on. This guy is such a good combo. I've never heard of this before today when I looked it up just now. And I kind of love it. Wow, I could see it being paired really, really well with a bunch of rich things, like one of those big Italian meatballs. I'm gonna make this again. Wow. Add mozzarella slices and grape tomatoes. That would be a good idea. By itself, I think it's going to be a little too much acid. But yeah, mozzarella, something fatty like that to balance it out, I think is a great idea. I have some mozzarella. I don't have any little tomatoes right now. I have some mozzarella. Boy, I'm just surprised at how much it tastes like grapes. Which is weird and makes me think that it's the kind of thing where you would want to lean into fancier wine vinegars, because the flavor of the vinegar, the flavor of the wine that was used to make the vinegar comes through in the finished dish. in a really strange way. Um, okay, I told you I wanted to taste another chunk of the meat with the fat cap. Oop. The fat cap doesn't want to cut quite so easily. The fat cap has that richness I was missing. It's soft, it's glossy. I did notice it's a little bit less tender right in the center of the thick part. So the meat still has a little bit of a resistance to it, a little bit of a chew. Just right in the middle. Not a ton, just a tiny bit. We might have overdone the meat just a smidge. I would probably, I want to say we knock 10 minutes off of the pressure cooking phase and maybe add 5 minutes to the air frying phase to balance it out, and don't give it the rest time in between where I'm juggling stuff. Drain the liquid off, put it right back in before it has a chance to cool off. I think that's where I would take that. It's very good. It's very good. It's not what I was expecting. It's I'm a little thrown because it is not what I was expecting. I think we dried it out just a tiny bit, which basting would have helped, but I couldn't do basting. If we had done it as a braise, I think that would have, and then forgotten about doing a crust, I think that would have been the ideal way to do this piece of meat. It's a decent stand-in for a brisket if you can't get a brisket. I would not say it is on par with a brisket. Brisket's such a good piece for doing these slow cooks on. Gosh, I don't know if I have much more to say, although I say that after having said a lot of things. I don't think I have much more to say. Which probably means it's time to wrap up. Oh, thank you for the follow. I completely missed that. Thank you so much. I barely watched this thing. We don't have a... We would have lost the stuff if we had done it in a braise. And I didn't want to lose the stuff. But we could have lost the stuff and had it sitting in a pool of liquid with the stuff in it, which would have been a braise. I don't have another tri-tip, so we can't immediately try this again. The next piece of beef I think we're going to use is this flank steak that I got for substantially less than that price. I got it for $8.75, and I've frozen that. I think that's the next piece of beef we'll use, but I don't know if I want to do beef right away. We might break into some salmon next time. I gotta focus on taking some of the larger pieces of meat out of the freezer. Some of them have been in there a bit too long, and we got to cycle through them. So we'll be hitting some of those. I've also got a skirt steak. I got a flank and a skirt and a T-bone. T-bone probably is the next one. Yes, half off meat is very nice. Half off meat is very nice. And yeah, that's where I got this. That's where I got this tri-tip. It was like, I don't know what to do with a tri-tip, but it's half off, so I'll take it and figure out what to do with it later. So yeah, we're pushing 3 hours. I knew this was going to be a long one, but it's my triumphant return. We're back in the saddle. So thank you all for sticking with me for this long one. 72 cents a pound. Damn. Half off ground. I'm glad all of you have picked up my my habits and are getting all your half off meat and then freezing it. Um, but yeah, thanks for sticking with me. Thanks for waiting for me to come back from holiday rush. Um, my my work hours are set to tail off to a low rumble, so I should have plenty of time. And I've specifically requested that on Mondays, my prime day on Monday, we be done by 4. I be done by 4 o'clock, so I can make it here in time to hopefully set up by 5. Um, so yeah, we should be back on track. And as always, I'm going to try to get more stuff done on the channel. Um, yeah. So thanks for sticking with me. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for all that. Let's find someone to raid out to. I haven't raided out in over a month. Who is on? It's LaFay. We're going to go raid LaFay. We're going to go raid LaFay. We're going to go bother LaFay. We love LaFay. Monday is my preferred day for streaming. Friday is my other preferred day for streaming. Sort of bookends the week. And yeah, that's the plan. Thanks for the subs, everyone. Thanks for the thanks for the follow. Thanks for the subs. Thanks for sticking with me. Thanks for hanging out. Rayuya's got our raid message for subscribers right there. I'm going to copy that one. If you're a follower, do the same thing, but with oh, I forget which ones are the follows. The little Nami face is a follow one, right? I'll have to double check. I need to make a follower one. Yeah, we're gonna go see LaFay. LaFay is currently playing Final Fantasy. We love LaFay. We're gonna go hang out with LaFay. That's adorable too. And yeah, Happy New Year. Hope it's at least a decent one. Bye.